Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Survival1, and today I want to go over some more Atlas patch notes, and then I want to go over the Captain's Log number 17, which is starting to show some new content stuff, and I want to start going over the Captain's Logs when they come out every week as well, because there's a lot of information there, and most likely will be a lot more information about new content and stuff coming in the future. So first patch notes we have further out, NPCs will be added to free ports which allow players to redesign their character's tattoos for a gold cost, which is pretty good. You can just draw your own tattoos if you want. They have preset ones, so you can do a ton of stuff with that. A lot of people didn't even do tattoos because they just wanted to get into the game. So it's nice that they're adding that for a gold cost. There's already cosmetics at the free ports for gold, like ship's cosmetic, armor cosmetics. You can buy dyes, you can buy the different types of resources, like the different types of metal or stuff like that. Then we have significant server improvements for over the coming weeks, where we'll be doubling performance increment by increment. That's only server side stuff, so like say you're ping on a server, not getting disconnected from a server, having better server performance when there's more people in a grid, which right now when 100 people get into a grid, the ping jumps up pretty heavily. So that's good that they're doing that. Hopefully they'll also start doing in-game performance on the user side, so FPS, stuff like that, less stutters, all that type of stuff. Then we have all the rest of the stuff is already out, but I still want to go over some of it. Fix multiple exploits which allowed movement of excessively encumbered players through various gameplay mechanics. So basically what this does, this doesn't stop players from moving themselves when being super overweight. Basically what you would do is if you drop boxes on the ground, say you have a stack of stone and you drop it on the floor, another player can pick that up no matter how much weight they're carrying. If they're under, I think it's like 300 slots or something like that, so they have 300 sections in their inventory they can fill up before they can't carry anything else, but they can have unlimited weight if you're throwing stuff to them. So what you would do, you'd get your company or your group to go out and farm. One person would be the body bag, and they would just keep walking slowly with everybody. Everyone else would just farm everything in sight, throw it to the person body bagging, and then you would keep doing that until they got close to their maximum allotted slots in their inventory. And then what they would do, there was multiple ways to do it. The last way that everyone was doing is that person would log out, then someone else would carry them, and it wouldn't give you all their weight, so it'd be like you're carrying just a normal body, so you wouldn't be able to sprint or anything, but you'd go much faster. You'd still walk at the decent normal speed, so you could carry all those resources back doing it like that. Before that, you were able to hit someone with a grappling hook and pull them with you, no matter how much weight they had. Those have all been fixed. They weren't like a massive thing. Honestly, I wish they kind of would have kept the one where you could do it as a group, because basically what you do, you get your whole group to go in a big Zerg farm, and a lot of people like farming that way more. You're able to get a lot more stuff. Maybe they could do some type of clamping, but that type of group farming actually was preferable to a lot of people that we play with, instead of just going out farming your 500 weight or something and then running back to base and doing it again. Disabled non-ally players and creatures based on anchored or docked ships, which can be toggled with a server setting on PvE servers with the game.ini file, whatever, just a file, if you want to allow non-allies to be on your ship. So basically, I don't play in PvE, but I'm pretty sure the issue that we're having was other players could get like heavy inventory or heavy animal inventory, put them on someone's boat, and the boat would start sinking because it's overweight, and then it would just sink. So basically, when people are offline, other people would just go put a super heavy player or heavy animal, stuff like that, on boats, make them sink, and then the people would get up in the morning, get on and play, and on PvE servers, and their boats would be sunk. So basically, this is so they can't sink your boats, basically, if they're not allied with you. Disabled feats when encumbered. This is a weird one. So this is, you can't use any of your basically activatable abilities when encumbered. I don't exactly know why, really. So if you're like encumbered, you couldn't use like a quick reload, or you couldn't use your piercing bow shot. I don't really know why. Maybe there was an issue with one of them, making you not encumbered or something like that, and they're going to re-enable it. Melee auto targets should no longer pick ally targets in any mode or player/chain targets in PvE. This was actually an issue. You would randomly lock on to like your teammate that you're not trying to punch in the face or something. This allowed a Freeport NPC recruiting if 20 or more level 1 NPC crews for that company on that server. So basically, I don't think they actually worded this sentence correctly. It kind of feels unfinished. But what I'm getting from this is basically, if you don't know, you can go to Freeports to buy level 1 NPCs instead of getting them from Ships of the Damned. So what they're saying is, if you have 20 level 1, because they will level up, you can level up your NPCs. If you have 20 level 1 NPCs, NPC crew members on that server, so that would be grid, you can't get any more. I assume this is possibly to make it harder to get NPCs for some bigger companies, but I also assume this is probably to cut down on lag, because I could definitely see this being a thing where big companies would just go buy like hundreds of NPCs, because it's not a ton of gold to get one of those because it's a level 1 NPC, and just like filling up free ports and getting insane amounts of lag. I never saw that personally, but I could see that's something people definitely do. At least some companies would do that. Then we have Fix an Exploit, which allowed cannons and cargo carts to shoot through walls. So I'm pretty sure what this was. If you don't know what a cargo cart is, you can put it on bears, horses. I don't know exactly what else, but it's a tier 2 saddle. You can put it on the back of something. You can put a cannon and a swivel gun. I think that's all you can put on it. And basically how the clipping in this and like say arc works, like say you can clip an animal's head through a wall, right? Basically you could do that with a cart, and just since a barrel was through, it would just shoot into the building, which is definitely a good fix. Additional backend infrastructure for anti-cheat and hack detection. This is very big. I'm going to talk more about that because they have something about it in this captain's log, so I'm going to talk more about it there, but it is definitely needed. Server performance optimizations plus 20% improvement. We'll have more change in the week for an additional approximately 25% server performance improvement. So that's good. Just more server improvements. We definitely need those to keep going throughout early access. Hopefully, as I said before, they will start user side like FPS and user side performance stuff as well. But it is very good that they're doing that, because even with that, like getting 100 people in a grid still is starting to lag a lot. And big player PvP still lags a ridiculous amount. And then this just talks about, I didn't go over this stuff, but it's just they had some exploits with some feats. That's basically all they put here. I didn't really know specifically about any of those, so I can't really talk about those. This is just talking about that they activated, or basically they enabled Battle Eye anti-cheat, which is an anti-cheat like system or program a lot of games use, and that's also very needed because there's a lot of hacking in this game, which we will talk about in this article. So this first part is just by Dolly, which I guess is the new community manager. I don't know if she's just, assuming she's just because Dolly. I assume she's just a second community manager, because Jadish, who also is the person that writes these, was the main community manager for Ark and for Atlas. I think he's still a community manager, so I think this is just another one, because the game is pretty decent size. This is just talking about, if you want to read this, is just her, I guess, telling you about her and saying that she's a new community manager. Now, this is where we start to get new content stuff. So these are concept art pieces, so it isn't necessarily what this is going to be, but most likely if they're showing us these is going to be pretty close. So we also have some stuff up here at 1 p.m. Pacific time this Friday. So that is Friday. What day is it? So it's Friday the 18th. So Friday the 18th, the Atlas team will be hosting our first ever development live stream. Join our crew at Seattle HQ as they unearth veritable treasure trove of information and news regarding upcoming content, gameplay changes, and future development plans. You want to keep your eyes trained on the waves or perhaps beneath them, as you might catch a glint of what's to come. It's a few days away, so here's a little look at some upcoming content. So make sure to check this out. I'll be trying to check this out. Hopefully I'm awake. Because they most likely will be showing a bunch of new stuff, probably in-game, like stuff actually in-game, stuff being worked on, stuff like that. So it's probably going to show a lot of new content. We'll probably do a video on a bunch of stuff in it. So the first thing they have here is a guillotine concept, which you can, if you don't know what a guillotine is, this is basically what it is. This is how they would execute people. You'd put their heads in there, the blade would drop down and chop their head off. I'm sure most of you guys have seen it in movies or stuff like that. Now, this is kind of a cool item to have in the game, but right now, I don't see a big use for it besides players killing themselves faster. That's literally the one practical use I see for it right now, because they did talk about, which you can do right now, if you hang people in their bodies turn into skeletons, you can break it and get their skull. They did talk about a bounty system, which currently isn't in game, so those skulls are useless. This could be another way to get it, but the only thing I see this for is literally killing yourself, or I guess executing prisoners in like a cool way. I guess if you captured a prisoner and want to execute them in style, you could do this as well. So kind of more like an aesthetic thing, and then players killing themselves faster to reset their, food, water, and vitamins type of thing. Then we have the most exciting part, which is this right here, which is Hydra armor. So there's two things in my head that this can be. This can just be, because it does look scaly, so it could be along the lines of like how WoW has different sets, how Arc and Atlas have different stuff. They have cloth, hide, fur, plate. They kind of do different stuff. Fur and plate are basically the highest tier and kind of have different functions. This could be like a male version of that has also different functions. Maybe a mix, like in between plate and fur, maybe higher armor than fur, less protections against cold and stuff like that than fur, but much more than plate. Something maybe since it's Hydra and looks scaly, which in most games is usually more agile stuff, maybe you don't have speed reductions in it like other armor gives or something like that. Or it can just be, it most likely will be a different like tier to like plate or fur or something like that. It will be a different tier, but it could also be actual boss armor. So it could be like a much better armor that takes specific resources and is kind of a baseline higher tier than other stuff, because the Hydra is a power stone boss in the game. So maybe you specifically have to kill the Hydra and get some resource from the Hydra to be able to make this. If that's the case, which I'm just theorizing completely here, if that would be the case, that would be really cool in my opinion, because they could make a armor set for every boss in the game, and then make it so if you have people that want this type of armor because maybe it fits their playstyle in PvP or something, that you would have to go kill that boss and get the thing to farm this armor, and it's a higher tier in the baseline. So basically, say like there's plate now, so this would be a much higher tier. Maybe this would be considered like a higher tier, like maybe Journeyman or something would be kind of the baseline of this or something like that. Then we have a peg leg, which is pretty cool. It does look nice, but I'm wondering, because they don't specifically say, I'm wondering if this is an actual item that has a use, has some type of benefit or something like that, or if it's just a cosmetic, because they really don't say. They do say this is new content, so by them saying that would lead me to assume that this is an actual item that has some sort of benefit if you are using it. I don't exactly know what that would be. Maybe it gives you some type of buff. I don't know. I assume it'd make you slower, but if it's something other than a cosmetic item, I really have no idea what this would have a use for yet. I don't know, maybe they give you some just arbitrary buff, maybe like increase gold because you're a pirate or something like that. Maybe this is for captains and they move much slower, but you know, their crew reloads faster or something like that. With so much more planned to be revealed live in the stream, seriously, you'll not want to miss this. I'm tired, it's hard to read. We'll also be opening the floor to questions from the community. You can ask anything here on a forum, just telling you where you can see it. You can see it on Twitch or Mixer, and where you can post comments, which most people know where to. So then we have this week is all about performance. Well, that's not entirely true. There have been a multitude of various fixes, but we've made vast improvements to our networking and server performance. On our most intense official servers has increased by approximately 20%, as in some cases, and in some cases more. So it's basically, if it's a much worse performing server or grid, it would get more increases basically to bring them in line with the other ones. The team are currently working on additional changes, which we hope to be able to deploy later this week, which will further improve server stability by approximately 25%. Incidentally, we're not going to stop there. We're going to keep hammering on server performance so that your gray naval battles can take place on the smoothest seas, unless you're in a storm. Of course, which they need to fix storms. They're ridiculous. But yeah, server improvements are always good. Hopefully they get to a point where we can have, 100 player battles with not huge ping increases, so you can actually PvP in them. We're going to continue repeating this. These are just a bunch of patch notes. Some we went over, but these are just all the patch notes of the different versions. We're going to continue repeating this. It's just the very beginning of our journey. You can expect frequent, major, and minor patches multiple times each week to improve the state of the game, including exploit and bug fixes, quality of life improvements, balance and design changes, and new content and features. You will always have something to look forward to, and the team are already working on some major content and feature additions in tangent with our frequent live game patches, so be sure to tune in into Friday's stream for more details on that. So that's pretty cool that we're getting constant updates, every week. That's one of the main reasons I think a lot of people like early access games, is because you get to play it when it's still in development. You can have more input on how the developers proceed, if it's an actual game that developers want to actually finish it, which, shown by Arc, these developers do actually finish their games. But it also is because you have new stuff all the time, so it feels like it's just a game that's being updated constantly, much quicker than other games. Also a thing with, because I've even heard this from some people, that they shouldn't be adding new content until like the game runs perfect and there's no bugs or anything like that. But they can't actually do that. So early access games are basically a promise to give a certain amount of stuff. Even in like the Steam page, a bunch of the stuff that was promised like isn't already in the game. So they have to keep adding new stuff consistently, because they can't just work on bug fixes that keep popping up here and there and get the game in a perfect state, which no game will ever be in, until they add new content. And game development teams don't really work like that. They'll have one team for new specific content in this area. They'll have one team for art. They'll have a team for, bug fixes and stuff like that. So a lot of people think that they shouldn't be doing this. They have to do this, and game development doesn't really work like that everyone's on one thing all the time. Sinking cheaters. In our previous Captain's vlog, we expressed how much of an internal priority it is to crack down on cheaters, exploiters, and general foulness. We planned out a 3-step process: enable Battle Eye, play Alice tickets, which you can do tickets right here on the Playlist website, additional detection and prevention, so that's just increasing the detection, stuff like that. Since that initial announcement, we have completed the process. We'll be continuing to work on our anti-cheat measures, including detection tools, patching out exploits, and expanding our team to tackle cheaters. There will be no room for them on our network. Over the coming days, you'll likely see a number of complaints regarding bans, and should they be necessary, company wipes. Cheating will not be tolerated on our servers. That said, please make sure you're using our reporting tools to alert us of those whom you suspect whom you suspect are playing unfairly. None of our decisions regarding bans and or wipes are taken lightly. We'll always aim to be thorough with our investigations. Additionally, as a studio, we'll continue to funnel resources into dealing with exploits and problems via technical implementation as well as through efforts of our game masters. So this is a big thing. Hopefully they actually do this, and hopefully they actually start going after streamers, because if you guys don't know, some of the most complained about companies are some streamers, because they've been exploiting every exploit that's been in the game. You know, the mortar glitches, cannon anything that you can exploit, they've been doing. There's tons of companies of people that there's tons of Reddit posts, tons of reports, tons of actual concrete information that people are cheating using, you know, aim, just tons of stuff. People literally, there's people been caught flying around, stuff like that. I've gone up against multiple people that have aim, that have been either sitting under meshes, using different hacks to get under meshes, you know, using aim to shoot you in the head, this in the same spot every single time. Just tons of stuff like that, because there wasn't much detection. Now that they're enabling stuff, more people are going to continue getting caught. Hopefully, how it sounds, they're going to keep doing everything they can to get rid of the cheaters, which is very good, especially in the game like this, which, you know, a cheater can literally take hours and hours and hours of time away from you. Like if you're in a Call of Duty game, like just a normal Call of Duty game or something like that, if someone uses aim, yeah, it's like that game is ruined. You can report them, move on. You most likely won't get in a game with them again anytime soon. But in this game, like an open world sandbox like this, that is, you know, progressive just over days, weeks, months, years, possibly, with hours and hours put in as single ships, stuff like that, you can lose all your gear. Hackers hacking and using stuff like that is a much bigger issue, because it can just take hours away. It can take your whole kit, just tons of stuff like that. That's pretty much it. They're talking about the dev kit here, that the dev kit will be coming out soon. I'm thinking about actually renting a one grid server once they have that out and once mods start coming out, so I can review mods. Hopefully you'll be able to do that on like a one grid server. I would definitely like to do that, because I think a lot of the mods are really cool. And there's no single player in this game like Ark, so in Ark you could literally just open up single player and load mods into it and do it like that. Kind of sucks that I have to rent a server to try out all the mods, but I think it's something I might do just because I'm really interested in all the mods. Then they show a snapshot of basically all the claims for all the different 4 servers. Then they have you know, screenshots and art and stuff from the community. So that's the end. I'll be doing videos on all the update stuff, all of the captain's log going forward and stuff like that. So subscribe if you want to see more of this content. I'll also be doing some guides. I'm working on, you know, a boat building type guide pretty soon. But subscribe if you want to see more of this content. Like the video if you like it. Leave a comment down below what you think about Atlas as a whole, what you think about all these changes, all the patch and stuff like that. And thanks for watching.